Hi there, my name is Paul Chatterton. I'm part of a group called Our Future Leeds, and we've set ourselves a challenge to create a socially just, zero carbon, livable and safe Leeds by the 2030s. Now, I've made a short presentation to help us as a group support our thinking to meet that aim. And this short presentation, which is about 10 minutes long, is called How to Change a City, a 10-step guide. So I've come up with 10 ideas that could really help us think through how we change a city to meet that particular goal, to make a zero carbon, socially just city by the 2030s. Now I'm going to go through these 10 steps and I'm going to show you how this fits together in an overall model. And of course, I'm going to go through this very quickly, but I'm going to plan to do a series of workshops on this in the coming months. And of course, you can watch this presentation again and get in touch. Okay, so where does this all start, this journey towards changing a city, creating a socially just, climate safe city? Well, the very first thing is getting together, debating and learning the challenges, what we call a triple emergency, certainly the nature, the social and the climate emergencies that we face, being very bold and brave about understanding and naming those challenges, but learning together, really key, through learning groups, through listening exercises, through talking to various sectors in the city, in your community, about the challenges that they face, and understanding the kind of research and evidence behind these challenges. Because of course, the big challenge is how do we create, tackle the climate emergency, especially this 1.5 degree challenge, in terms of how do we create a zero carbon society in the next 10, 15 years, which is a huge challenge. And all this has to be done in a way that brings everyone together and embeds social justice. So what do we do with this learning? Well, the second point is we simply have to tell the truth. We have to be brave about the things we've learned, get out there in our societies, workplaces, families, and tell the truth, but not in a way that disempowers, in a way that calibrates, this is a key thing, in a way that calibrates the challenges to our actions. So we clearly say, look, this is what we're up against, and this is what we need to do as a result. And that is an empowering, not a disempowering approach. The third thing is to really build in from the beginning solidarity and social justice. And this means several things. Certainly solidarity in terms of understanding the particular effects that your locality and your lifestyle has on other people and places throughout the world. And some of those historic links in terms of how certain people and places have had advantages to the disadvantage of people and places in other parts of the world, and how this extends to the present moment, and how we need to show solidarity, to meaningful solidarity, to places in the present, in our own cities and beyond, where people are still facing disadvantage, and building in compassion, which means listening attentively to understanding where people are right now and the conditions that they face. Now, the fourth thing, thinking and acting like a city. Cities are complex, interconnected places. One thing that happens in a locality cannot simply be changed from that locality. So what we need to do is connect our actions up across particular places. So we can't just change a place by acting in that place. So the kinds of things we do in our localities have to be connected in a network across larger places. And we have to think about things like housing, transport, water, food, energy, the things that we depend upon for a daily life are part of quite a complicated system which spans a whole city. So to change that thing, say the transport system, you can't just work in the locality, you have to work across a number of areas. So thinking and acting like a city means thinking like a system, thinking in an interconnected way, inside but beyond your neighborhood. And this is about taking our actions and our understandings upstream. Imagine action is like a river. We have to go upstream from where we are. So what does this mean in practice? It means taking those individual concerns and interactions we have at a very daily level and saying, look, you know, we probably cannot resolve this between ourselves. We have to understand the structural power, be it in the nation state, in governments, or in the corporate boardrooms, that might lead to some of the problems and disadvantages that we all face. And to say, look, we're not just consumers here who all we need to do is buy and shop better. One of our tasks is to get together as citizens, not as consumers, and to say, look, how do we collectively organise and take our arguments upstream to the boardrooms, to the elected officials, to those who held power and resources, to say, look, we need this to change. So using our collective power together as individuals, combining that and taking that upstream to the larger arguments about corporate power, about structural inequality, about where money and power actually lays. So this is also about knowing where to act. So this is not simply doing this or doing that, it's doing an interconnected set of things across a spectrum. So you might go to the extractive industries or production factories where there's low paid labor, or how things are distributed, or where things are sold, or importantly, how things are advertised and financed. So we have to think holistically across a number of different areas, and that's where our actions should lie, not just in one area, but in several at the same time. So what we're doing here, we're building community infrastructure, and this is locking in what we call community wealth. It might be community housing, it might be community finance, like local currencies, it might be local wildlife reserves, but what we're trying to do is connect these across a locality. So we're using things like cooperatives and community social enterprises, which are very good at making money stick, re-spending money, employing people locally. These are the key things which will build in resilience and community wealth at a local level, because this is where the great solutions to injustice and the climate emergency and nature loss will be found. Number 8, change the story from top to bottom. This is a great example from Amsterdam using Kate Raworth's work, the donut economics. And what do I mean from top to bottom? Well, we need a new story for a place, and that starts at the top and at the bottom. It starts from our political leaders to support a change narrative, to be bold about telling the truth about what the challenges are and what a new story about a place is. And that involves listening to the grassroots and building that story with the grassroots and making sure this gets out across all the institutions in the city, religious, educational, workplace, sport. So we all hold a whole new narrative as a city, a change story which is owned by everyone. And number 9, it's being part of a breakaway coalition. So this is not one sector that's going to make change. It's governments, researchers, business leaders and citizens working together. But of course, they've always worked together. But the key thing is they need to work together in a new breakaway sense, that they all say, look, we're not prepared to just perpetuate things as they are, the status quo. We need things to change. We need to change, use our workplaces for change. We cannot simply keep on doing what we've always been doing. And this is a breakaway coalition when the researchers, the academics, the public policy officials, the business leaders and the people who run small firms, citizen leaders, church leaders, all get together and share that sense that they can all work together on this new narrative, which is beyond how things are and how they could be, emphasizing not just how the future can be better, but why we need to move away from what harms. So this is a new story, a new breakaway coalition that says, look, we do need to stop what harms, but we need to supercharge what's good for us. So to watch out for, a number of things to watch out for here, a number of contradictions, what I call you can't have your cake and eat it. We can't keep perpetuating stories that we can do this, but we can't do this. We can have growth, but we can protect nature. Yeah, we can keep driving our cars, but we can reduce carbon emissions. We have to name and be honest about the contradictions, that in this narrow space of opportunity, there are not so many opportunities for win-win anymore. We have to be honest about some of the compromises we have to make, and avoiding dead ends and what we call weak gains. So for example, we can't just make a wholesale shift to electric vehicles. We have to actually drive less. Having plastic-free supermarket aisles is all well and great, but we also need to create local high streets and local shops and reduce our dependency on big corporate retail. And this is not just a numbers game. So it's not just about counting and hoping for things like carbon reduction, but it's to say we need to measure other things like quality of life, biodiversity, social injustice and equality. So think big, start small, but start now. This is an empowering message that we need to take on the big storyline, but we need to start small. We can all do things in our community that's part of this big story. So here's how it all fits together. How to change a city, what I'm calling the lab approach. Learn, act and build. It starts with the learn, as I mentioned. Understand and learn the challenges, tell the truth, build solidarity, think like a city. Then we act, we go upstream with our understandings and our actions. We find our pinch points and we build infrastructure, we locks in community wealth. And then we build a story, we build coalitions and we start now. So that's the lab approach on how to change a city. I hope that was useful, and I'll be doing workshops over the coming weeks and months on this, and please share this video, and really happy to answer more questions about it through Our Future Leeds and online. Thanks very much.